Welcome, guys, to the Backyard Barn Insect Podcast. How y'all doing?
It's about the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Please do not say that.
It's cricket time, man.
It's about the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
So what's the first thing on our agenda tonight?
So one of our followers on our Instagram page commented the following. I wanted you two to entertain the feminist perspective more when asking why women would not feel compelled to vote for women, or as Franco put it, quote, having animosity, end quote, towards it. I want the perspective consider that the animosity isn't necessarily towards voting for women, but more so feeling animosity towards voting for women candidates who have a history in supporting policy that is based in furthering the agenda of the patriarchy. I think Kelly mentioned that having a black South Asian American woman does give the appearance that this idea of intersectional representation and equality is possible, and that is important. But I think for many women, it isn't enough if that person's history in politics and their actions aren't congruent with their own intersectional identity. That consideration leads me to wonder if uplifting women candidates whose actions support the patriarchy is the only way to make men comfortable with the idea of women being in their spaces. I'm sorry, that was supposed to be a question.
Looks like you have to read it all over again.
Or I can read that sentence, thanks. So that consideration leads me to wonder if it's a question mark, but it's not a question sounding, so it's difficult to. Anyway, we'll just leave it as I said.
All right, I was not listening. Could you read that one more time for me?
No. So she said that, right? And then I commented, since we have switched to formats, we cannot address this question directly, but based on that question, we could talk about it. A question I am thinking of could be, what does equality look like? Where intersectional feminism is discussed among other topics. What questions do you have in mind? She says, I don't want to know what equality looks like. I think that leaves a lot of room for idealizing and romanticizing something that is beyond overdue. I don't think I have a question to form it into. I think my original comment was more a response to being surprised that both of you seemed uncomfortable tackling the topic of women voters from a more intimate and internal perspective and wanting to provide one to consider in the future. I felt like you both were afraid of saying something wrong when the topic was being discussed in the episode and didn't want to comment further.
Okay.
Cool.
That was good.
That's a good point.
I mean, yeah, I said that's not for us to debunk, mainly because I feel like that's not necessarily just it's a sensitive topic, but it's a very complex topic. And I'm not well versed in it.
Right.
I'm sure we can draw parallels from that movement and the struggles of that movement to other ones. So I wouldn't have an issue there, but so, okay. Well, here we are now.
Yeah.
A week later.
Yeah.
We have hindsight is 2020. I said it. Biden is president-elect now. Mm-hmm. We looked at the polls and saw that I believe it was 43% of white America voted for Biden. Mm-hmm. What percent of that was women?
Mm-hmm. Don't know.
Let me look it up.
Well, let's look at the exit polls. I would say that for me, though, I am starting to begin that research. I just learned what womanism is. I didn't know that was actually. I didn't know it was separate.
What is womanism, Frank?
It's feminism for black women.
I think it deserves a better definition than you just saying.
Well, then I'd have to look it up.
There you go.
All right,
yes, there we go. Let's get our Jamies out.
All right, Jamie. Here's one at Howard University.
Oh yeah, shout out to Howard. pumping out amazing graduates all over the world.
The creator of womanism was Alice Walker, who was a writer. She's a writer.
Did you know that Kamala Harris graduated from Howard?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. So maybe you should read that definition.
Okay, so on Howard University's website, there's definition of the womanist movement, or womanism proper, and it goes like this. Black women have a higher likelihood of experiencing violence, receiving lower pay, and seeing fewer media and political representation of women who look like them. Because the mainstream feminist movement does not begin to cover this 1-2 punch of racism and sexism, a paralleling womanist movement formed to acknowledge black women's specific struggle for equality. Okay, I'm having a hard time reading this for some reason.
You're just glitching a little bit?
Maybe, or I don't know if the wording is, I don't know.
Stop sucking, bro. Yeah, so I just looked this up. It's on Essence. I don't really care about the source, but it says that 55% of white women and 18% of black men voted for Donald Trump after reviewing the exit polls. That's true. So that's directly correlated to 55% of, white Americans. So that's it. Still seems like that was a thing this year. All right, so racial or ethnic heritage exit polls for the 2020 election. White men, 58% Trump, 40% Joe Biden. White women, 55% Trump, 43% Joe Biden. Black men, 18% Trump. I'm ashamed. 80% Biden. Black women, 8% Trump, 91% Biden. Latino men, 36% Trump, 61% Biden. Latino women, 28% Trump, 70% Biden. All other races, 37% Trump, 60% Biden.
There was a lot of talk on The Daily Show about black male voters. I can't remember her name. She was she's in academia. I can't remember exactly what she studied, but she had said that black men are the new swing voters, and that they, in this election, voted from a genderized perspective as opposed to a racial one.
Okay.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either about that one.
Don't know.
Genderized?
They voted, yeah. I'm just saying.
All skin folk and kinfolk.
I'm just trying to, that was what she said, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, cool. Okay, all right. I'm not going to fight you on it.
Right.
I haven't sat down with any black man that voted for Trump yet, and hopefully somebody comes forward. I'm not going to bash you. I'm just going to ask you questions because I'm very curious on how that happens. But yeah, let's talk about that black woman. 91%. Seems like been holding down the Democratic Party since it existed.
Yes.
Well, wait, I'm sorry. Not since it existed, but since it transitioned from the Republican Party.
Came to its senses, yeah. So the definition of womanism, and again, this was trying to draw a contrast between white feminism and black feminism, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Why not?
I mean, I didn't know that they were like
different.
Well, there are many intersectionalities, right? There's intersectional feminism. So there are a lot of different, what do I say?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the point here.
All of this shit exists.
All of this, yeah.
It's a lot of issues.
The definition, though, of womanism, which I had discovered when I was talking to my therapist, actually, she recommended some literature to me.
Shout out to K-Dub.
And the definition of womanism is a social theory based on the history and everyday experiences of women of color, especially black women. And the creator, actually, of womanism is a writer named Alice Walker. And she coined the term womanist in a short story, Coming Apart, in 1979. I think I might even have it here.
Imagine that. You got all this shit, but you don't have none of it right in front of you.
Where's my Alice Walker? Where the hell is she? Is she up here?
If you don't know Franco, he has enough books to sedate an entire country.
I'm gonna find it. Now I have to find it. Yep.
Well, I mean, you have it, but have you read it?
Have I read that short story? No, I've not.
No. Well, it looks like you're going to be doing a little bit more reading today, brother.
Wow.
The fact that you had it, I'll give you props and respect on that one.
Coming Apart is the name of the short story. Let me see.
And to the lovely person who commented, I hope this is a good, in-depth response. This is the best we can do. Hope you can accept it.
I mean, this is called In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose.
So the word's been like right there in your face this whole time.
Here it is. It's right here. She actually defines it before anything.
See, there we go. This is what I came for right here.
Right here. Yep.
Ask and ye shall receive.
Exactly. I'm trying to find like a good reading position to be. I think this might just be the best one. So again, this is Alice Walker, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, and she defines what a womanist is in the beginning, before any of the stories. Womanist, from womanish, opposite of girlish, i.e. frivolous, irresponsible, not serious. A black feminist or feminist of color. From the black folk expression of mothers to female children, quote, you actin' womanish, end quote, i.e. like a woman, usually referring to outrageous, audacious, courageous, or willful behavior. Wanting to know more and in greater depth than is considered, quote, good for one. Interested in grown-up doings. Acting grown-up. Being grown-up. Interchangeable with another black folk expression, quote, you trying to be grown. Responsible. In charge. Serious. So 2, also, a woman who loves other women sexually and or non-sexually, appreciates and prefers women's culture, women's emotional flexibility, values tears as a natural counterbalance of laughter, and women's strength. Sometimes loves individual men, sexually and or non-sexually, committed to survival and wholeness of entire people, male and female. Not a separatist, except periodically for health. Traditionally universalist, as in, Mama, why are we brown, pink, and yellow and our cousins are white, beige, and black? Answer. Well, you know the colored race is just like a flower garden, with every color of flower represented. Traditionally capable, as in, Mama, I'm walking to Canada, and I'm taking you and a bunch of other slaves with me. Reply. It wouldn't be the first time. But wait. Man.
You asked for it.
This is tough, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This is some real shit. This is some real shit. 3. Loves music, loves dance, loves the moon, loves the spirit, loves love and food and roundness, loves struggle, loves the folk, loves herself, regardless. 4. Womanist is to feminist as purple to lavender. Woo! Shit. I did it now. I did it now.
As purple is to lavender.
Isn't that something? That is. This book was actually given to me by a woman who I actually no longer talk to, but that's beside the point. But she gifted me this book, and I have read the one short story, which is the title of this book, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens. So maybe that is to say I will read this whole book, because it seems like I did not give the attention it needed.
Happens a lot everywhere.
Happens to books a lot.
Yeah. In life, it's all about your perspective. Now that you talk with K-Dub about this, and you were able to come back and actually find the book and have a new perspective on it, it's more powerful.
That's it.
Like you are holding the Holy Grail in your hands
right here.
At that moment.
I had it.
Yeah.
But didn't know I had it. There you go.
Okay. Well, that segues us into our next topic. We have it in America, but do we have it?
Do we have it?
We just talked about is enough. But the whole point is, when will we be happy? When will we come together finally and just be done with it?
Never.
Why is that, though?
Because I don't want to sound too a certain way when I say this, but
you're gonna have to say it.
I'm gonna have to say it, right? And I think that's a problem in and of itself. But it's all about money. At the end of the day, if that's what you think it's about, then we will just be at odds. Now, you need money to survive. So what is that? And we all want to participate, right? I still want to participate in real estate. I still want to have a business. You have a business. And certainly you will have more, I'm sure. So everybody wants to further themselves economically. We all live in a society, right? So we all want to participate in that. But what would make you feel like you are comfortable?
That's a multifaceted answer for me. Majority of the time, I have the belief that money only can go so far if you don't have the people around you. If you don't have your loved ones around you, money will never be the answer.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that money doesn't allow for freedoms. It definitely does. But at the same time, if you don't spend it with the people you love, then to me it defeats the purpose. Now, I'm not saying that you can't personally enjoy your money in certain ways, but overall, would you say that you can see yourself just being rich and not having anyone around and you would be fine with it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So how far can money take you?
I mean, you can be like Jeff Bezos, and I think he has something with like Mount Rushmore kind of thing, where he's like carving in, not into Mount Rushmore, but like trying to create, like, people with this exorbitant amount of money, while well deserved, right? He earned it, and I'll give him that, because I for a long time had difficulty with the idea that any one person could have that kind of money. Now, how important is that to you? And what value do you place in the fact that you have earned this much? Now, if I go out and, one of my things I want to do is over the next several years have rental properties. How will I allow the fact that I am a landlord influence how I view my tenants? How will I act with an influx of money? I don't know. I like to think that I would operate in not only my own interest, but also the interests of those who need a place to live. While transactional, these are people. So we can function like it's just business. Is that all we want? Is it just business?
Well, I could say that certain people believe that slavery was just a business.
Oof.
So, sure, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that one, but hey,
it's the cheapest route, right?
Jesus.
And you're like, oh, well, you're talking about slavery. No, like, it's still slavery to this day.
Yeah, no.
You know, people in jail are working for pennies on the dollar every hour to build your furniture, to build your license plates, any damn thing.
Child labor in India.
Exactly. China.
Yep.
Everything in here has a made in China sticker on it, or made in Mexico. And we're fine with it. So we here now have just accepted that we are no longer the makers of anything. We just consume it all.
I'll never forget it. There was a video, this video on YouTube, C-SPAN, Alan Greenspan being interrogated by, I don't know if I think Bernard Sanders was a senator at the time, but he was being berated by Bernie and about moving manufacturing out of this country. That's a video that we should revisit. I need to revisit because at some point we transitioned to not being producers. We don't really produce anything, to just moving money around. We all, a lot of friends I'm starting to now realize, a couple that I think you and I know, play in the stock market. I don't play in the stock. I don't even know how to do. How to mess with that. But that just seems to be what banks do. Trade money around, make more money, right? So, but in terms of our values, I want to make sure I'm staying on course with your question, though, too. When will we feel that we have enough money to live our lives and not continue to accumulate it at the expense of others?
You brought up some good points that I feel very strongly about, and I'm going to try not to rant about it either. I'm just not going to do it.
Resist, you can't.
You hit the nail on the head for me when you talked about the stock market.
Yep.
Any person that plays in the stock market, are you helping or hurting the economy?
It's just business, bro.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Like I told you before, but I don't think I've said it here. One of the smartest professors that I've ever known at UMBC said that he worked for GE, had been working there for 40 years, and how GE made more money now playing with numbers than actually building refrigerators.
Wow.
Or washing machines. So theoretically, they could do away with all of their production and just play the stock market game and become richer. So then you say to yourself, okay, well,
why don't I play in the stock market?
Yeah, that's the game now. That's fine. And that's what our friends are doing. They've seen a path, and if they have the capital, use it, go for it. But at the end of the day, who is that benefiting? What was happening was the stock market was needed to control profit from other places in America and other countries. So essentially, once slavery had ended, well, let's say once the transatlantic slave trade had ended, which was, I believe, was 1809, the British had ended slavery. then who was going to maintain the power in Africa? How were they going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that they did it was through the actual stock market. This is how they would buy and fund things. So instead of actually being able to live in that country and effectively remove people, now they started to change it into the stock market and change the centers of wealth. I'll have to find it and we can talk about it later.
But you're making my brain hurt. So wait a second. Are you telling me the stock market was made to further increase the profitability of buying and selling slaves?
And their exports in that country.
Okay, okay.
Right, because we don't talk about how, as well as selling slaves, then it became, okay, well, these places in Africa have been gutted. Oh, hey, look, they have iron. Oh, hey, look, they've got rubber. Oh, hey, look, they've got gold. They have bananas, right? They have everything we could ever think of is on that continent. Let's create a company. Let's create a stock market that holds these companies. And we can put money into that company then can go and do whatever they want.
How is that different from colonization?
That's the whole point. The colonization ended. When did these countries get their independence? But in the same time, where was the stock market and how long had it been running for? So although they controlled their economy now, they had stock owned by a person with an export from a country that's in America's stock market. So you're stuck. You don't have a choice. It's not like you can create your own stock market now, can you?
Right. Well, this is awkward.
Yeah, well, guess what? Who's it benefiting?
People on Wall Street. Right? Governments.
We just changed who controlled the money and who was actually directly benefiting from the slave trade and then the colonization of the world.
So is it a way to trade without actually trading?
Trade consciously trading?
Because you are investing in stock, right?
Yeah, but all right, what is a stock?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If a stock is a percentage in ownership of the company, right? Then you're just enabling the company to do what you want. And if it's profitable for the company to, I don't know, buy and sell slaves, then people will finance that. I mean, do people realize that that's what they're doing? I would like to think that they do.
At the end of the day, like we talk about, it doesn't matter. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about making money now, and that's the easiest way.
Okay, so we've always been like this.
Right. Just think about what the world was like before the stock market. Has the stock market really benefited everyone? Or is it only a select group? Let's say it like this. If the stock market just stopped for a day, would the world stop?
I mean, it closes on federal holidays.
Right. No, it doesn't.
Right.
Right. So it's just like they have this ability to possess large amounts of money that somewhat relates to a real world, real life business.
But is not in and of itself.
Right. Like we've seen millions of times where a company has billions of dollars in stocks and in real life, they're a shitter.
Right.
Like, that's how a lot of these companies have gone from nothing to hitting 500 on the S&P like it's nothing. But in the real world, what does that do? What does it change? Nothing. Like, you can invest a lot of money in something, but does it actually change it? Just like GE. They can play with their numbers all day, but does it actually change how many watch machines they make? No. They can make less and make more money. So we don't have any more production anymore.
So you're telling me that my initial dumb question is to say, what do we do? But that's kind of dumb. The only thing that separates us from that is the fact that we know about it. That's it. The fact that we know about it, well, the fact that I know now, especially, because I would think I was doing it from a very limited lens of, we'll even say, post-1968, right? Reagan and Nixon and shit. Drug war. While important, this just opened it up to, this has always been this way.
Globally, there's superpowers, right? There's only a handful of countries that have gone to almost every other country and put a noose around their neck and wrung them dry for everything. Like, we literally have countries created just because of wars on, let's say, for example, there's a place in China that isn't a part of China, but it's still in China, but they have their independence because somebody wanted some tea. There's another place in Southwest Asia that separated one of the most atrocious lines ever drawn to separate two countries, all over some spices. Oh, by the way, this is also this other place where it was intentionally drawn this way to separate two neighboring nations and pit them against each other.
Almost sounds like gerrymandering.
Man.
Weird.
Divide and conquer.
Huh.
It's the same playbook over and over and over. You just have to see it.
These some smart motherfuckers.
The fact that you would like to call them smart and not call them
devious,
insidious, just down, deep, low, dirty, fucked up.
Oh yeah, just because somebody has that, right? They know how to do it. Doesn't, like, it's a moral. Yeah, I got to see.
Well, the question is, why did they do it, Frank? Because we can go on the moral and say, morally, Europe, America should have never done this to any place in the world. But they did it because of money.
Yeah.
How can you put another person in a cage and be okay with it? Because it was about the money. So now when you talk about at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's about the money. Kind of sounds like all of our history.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Everything was done for money, was it not? So when are we going to just wake up and be like, you know what? Maybe we should just stop trying to be so rich. Competition is good and bad. But I think of it like beating a dead horse. I just had this realization as I was driving through Baltimore City last week. when will people just see the city as a place that needs help and not a place to be feared? Like, when will somebody just wake up and be like, bro, like, yo, it's human beings living here. Mm-hmm. Why are we treating them like second-class citizens? Why are we doing all this stuff when at the end of the day, all they need is help? We just watched a very powerful, I don't even want to say stand-up, but monologue by Chappelle on SNL. And we'll have to link that in the bio because he harped on a lot of stuff. Like, when are we gonna be like, hey, hey guys, oppressed people over here, just stop, just give up, just quit.
You know, it makes me, again, it really makes me think about, we can come back to Chappelle in a second, but I was thinking about Killer Mike's Compassion and Capitalism. Like, I don't know why I keep thinking about it, but I do, because what I don't think the answer is to any of this is changing the way in which wealth is distributed. And I think that's like the classic capitalism, socialism. It's a system of how wealth is dispersed, and it's not a moral category. There's no morality to it. It's just like, let's try this system and see if humans can accommodate what it requires. And I think, Slavoj Žižek, Slovenian philosopher, said it well, is that, there's a reason the fall of the Soviet Union and communism did not work. That is an old project. But for some reason, we have a difficult time coming to terms with that, especially on the left. And I keep seeing it in these protests. I see a lot of Marxism, which is not to say that some of the Marxist philosophy is bad. I think there's some good to it. But the idea that, and we may have to read...
Yeah, you're going to have to unpack that for me, because you say Marxist like everybody knows what that is, or even who he is.
Right. That's a lot. I would not claim to be a scholar either. You mean who Slavoj Žižek is, or who Karl Marx is?
Both, right? That's what I mean.
How much time you got?
Well, it's not today.
Not today. I actually have a couple books on Marx. I took a class. It was a class on Hegel and Marx in college.
Imagine you can take a class on two dudes,
right,
and just their writings.
Read their work. I mean, it's wild. I mean, I got their book also in this room. I mean, I don't have it. I mean, I don't. It's in this massive pile here because I don't consider it worthwhile. This was readily available because I knew that I would probably come to this book. But a lot of it was manuscripts. A lot of what Marx wrote was manuscript and trying to figure it out, and you see it in the writings. So it's difficult to figure out a new way to, like, writing a fucking constitution for a country. It's difficult to figure out what is the best way humans can best distribute wealth amongst each other. What's the best way? What does that look like, right? Way back when, before you and I were born, before a lot of people were born, I had something. I have this pen, and I want to trade it for something. And you have something that I want, and you might want 2 pens for that thing, right? That seemed to work for a while until what happened?
Some fat motherfucker was like, hey, guess what? That don't work no more.
It doesn't work, right? I got this other resource you want. It's called gold. And you can take this gold, it's malleable. You can make something. You make jewelry, or you can make whatever. You make coins, right? And where does that value come from? Well, it has value because I say it has value. It has no intrinsic value other than the value we put in it.
Whoa, all right, let's not go there because let's not talk about gold, because gold is actually a finite thing. Diamonds,
cash, anything, right?
All right, yeah, okay. You kind of lost me with the gold thing, but I'll give it to you.
Right. The resources, right?
Right. They're one of the only metals that's malleable, but also resistant to corrosion in almost every sense. But yes. Okay, so what does that mean? We live in 2020 now, where I believe that we have more than enough power and wealth and know-how to make sure that every American never has to struggle again, where we have the ability to give everyone universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the ability to give everybody a free education.
Mm-hmm.
And how that will help everyone, not just the upper echelon, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
When will we just wake up and say, how about instead of being afraid of somebody because they don't have it, why don't they just get it and we won't have to be afraid anymore?
Because people will say, well, what about me? What about me?
All right, let's talk about this for a second. Would you say that certain people have had a head start?
Oh, yeah.
To this game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then there's other people that have not even started the race.
Yep.
And there's other people that are already a lap, 2 laps, a mile. A mile is 4 laps if we're running on a standard track. Now, how would that benefit that person who's already a mile ahead, right, to help that other person? It wouldn't, would it?
Keep oppressed people oppressed, bro.
Now, the threat of violence, would that then allow that rich person to be like, you know what, go ahead. Instead of me have to worry about my safety, I'll let you have some liberty, right?
Now we're talking.
And it's so interesting because I keep seeing this mentality that, you know, I always see this, NRA fanboys, I'd rather have my gun than not have my gun. Right? Because if something happened, my thinking, that's true. But at the same time, I would like to hope one day that nobody would have to have a gun, because everybody would have a job. They would have a place to sleep, and they would be content.
Well, it's this constant fear that somebody's going to get them.
You know, and it's weird because I think how that's ironic, because if that was going to happen, it would already happen.
Mm-hmm.
If a certain group of people were freed from slavery and they became free and still didn't run rampant and kill every white person that they saw, why are we going to do it now?
Well, it's a good thing that they did not want revenge.
I wonder why. I still wonder that one today.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was told that Europeans got lucky that they enslaved one of the most forgiving people.
Mm-hmm.
And that deep down inside, we knew that you were a part of us.
It's a powerful shit.
Right? Just like we always talk about the black woman is the mother of all people. But ironically, she is the least loved, least protected, least accepted, and least recognized when she is the original. So we have everything backwards. But it's all for money. And some people are okay with that every night.
And so you were talking about violence. There's another good book by Slavoj Žižek. I think it's called 6 or 7. I think maybe 7. 7.
We have to.
This man's written so many books. Hang on, let me see. This man's a
machine.
He is. He writes some crazy shit. I have not looked at what he's written. Oh shit, he wrote a book on COVID. Oh shit. Bro, I have to get it.
Okay. First of all, we have to build a bookshelf that fits this room.
Okay, the book is called Violence: 6 Sideways Reflections by Slavoj Žižek. And this book it's been quite a number of years ago that I read it, would suggest that sometimes it might be a little necessary to get stirred up because it makes the bourgeoisie a little nervous, right? Their pocketbooks might be, possibility of stolen or whatever, right? In the classical sense. So it makes a lot of sense to me when you say that people would pay money to kind of keep people in check. That makes a lot of sense to me. So we may have to come back to that. I don't know if I'm prepared to talk about that topic.
Oh, we're not prepared to talk about defunding the police.
Oh, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. So there was a cost benefit analysis. I'll have to find it. I remember watching it on Vox, but it referenced a lot of different studies on it. How the cost benefit of a police is, can't remember the amount, right? So that would mean that for every dollar spent and given to the police force, there was a direct correlation to like reduction in crime compared to other social avenues. Every dollar spent there was 4-fold, 10-fold benefit to crime reduction, merely because it wasn't seen as illegal anymore and wasn't put into the lens of cops versus the criminals. So it made the connection between how defunding the police would benefit all of us, because instead of criminalizing everybody, you actually would fucking help them.
Right.
And the power in helping people would eventually help us all. And I'm going to say this. Do you believe that these pockets of disenfranchised people who voted for Biden, who still voted for Biden, saved us in this election?
Do I believe that?
Do you believe it?
Yes.
Now, how many fucking times do we have to save everybody before they wake up and say, hey, let's stop putting these people in jail. Let's stop incarcerating all of them, right? Let's stop destroying their families. And I'm not just saying for black people. I'm talking about for anybody that is in this situation.
Yeah, there was a documentary. I think it was called The Rainbow Coalition. The first Rainbow Coalition examines how an unlikely coalition defied racial divisions. In 1969, the Chicago Black Panther Party, notably led by charismatic Fred Hampton, began to form alliances across lines of race and ethnicity with other community-based movements in the city, including the Latino group the Young Lords organization and the working-class young Southern whites of the Young Patriots. Finding common ground, these disparate groups banded together in one of the most segregated cities in post-war America to collectively confront issues such as police brutality and substandard housing, calling themselves the Rainbow Coalition. Mm-hmm. The first Rainbow Coalition tells the movement's little-known story through rare archival footage and interviews, so they interviewed them, yeah.
Right, that gave me goosebumps, because that's our history. Who knows about that?
Not a lot of people.
Right.
But we fucking did it.
And do we know what happened to the Black Panther Party after they did that?
They got fucked up by
there's still certain people that are still in prison because of it.
Shit.
So, yeah, white America said no. Said we're not having it. And I think the most torn group of people right now are poor white people.
Yep. Chappelle talked about that too.
And you're...
especially in these white suburbs where the heroin epidemic has gone up in those areas.
But yeah, they're the most torn because they living in this situation that sucks. But they're holding on to something that they should have just let go of.
Yeah.
That hate. So,
and especially in this documentary talks about Southern whites, poor Southern whites.
Imagine that.
Banding together for, even if they didn't agree, and I remember in the documentary that some of them were still quite racist, honestly. But they banded together because they knew that even though they had differences, that they could change the country. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them changed their economic livelihoods.
Right.
Their standard of living. So, but where is that now?
It's here. I mean, but it's not.
I think we're still assembling.
It's not televised.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it shouldn't be. Because now, like with anything, we know that racist machine is so good at poking holes in anything, any movement. We've had hundreds of years of practice of shooting down any type of organization, movement that is for somebody other than a white person,
right,
trying to make some money. So
I want to say the revolution will not be televised, but has been for a while now.
It has, but that's the thing. It is,
both. I think both, yeah.
That Black Lives Matter movement, I'm still on the fence about it, because that's commercialized bullshit. Yeah. The real Black Lives Matter movement. Right.
I was going to say, I think people get caught up in Black Lives and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
As an organization. So
right. Like you have an LLC with that name.
Right.
But I still can see those words. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying you every single time I say those words. So
yeah.
We've got a lot to do. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but are we going to talk about Georgia at all?
Oof.
And what happened in Georgia?
Well, I don't know the candidate's name, so if we're going to talk about it, we probably should know who they are.
Okay. All right, let's talk about this later, because I'm going to send you some stuff so you can learn about it.
Great, because I don't really know about it.
Yeah, you've been sending conspiracy shit this entire fucking week about how Trump could still win, and I told you just shut the fuck up. All right? Like Chappelle said, I'm trying to save you from yourself right now, okay? Just let go.
Okay.
Just lay back. Just let this shit happen, all right? Just understand that. Let the black people take the wheel for a little bit.
All right, cool.
We're going to win the election. Then you're going to walk away from our cities and be like, that man just tried to take my purse. So, so just accept it. But no, like, dude, when are we gonna be like, okay, cool, yo, like, all right, we're all Democrats. Ooh,
Well, now
let's throw some money your way.
Now the new word is demoncrat.
Demoncrat?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Or otherwise,
I mean, hey, Lucifer is an angel too. I don't give a fuck. What? Okay.
Democrats are demons now.
Right. So. Yeah. Like Lucifer wasn't a fucking angel.
Yikes.
Let's not go there.
So yeah, I will look more into the I know there's a runoff and that there are people out there to register to vote, I think by the 14th, and the election is on the 5th. But actually, I think early voting I was reading was starts back in December, like December 24th. Yeah. You have a lot of time to vote.
Think it's like December 5th or whatever. So we're going to have a lot of time to get into that. So we were on the topic of Chappelle.
Yep.
And his monologue. And he talked about a lot in that. But the thing that was most searing to me is when he talked about saving white America from themselves. Like this hasn't happened before. And how black people have had to save them. And I thought that was weird, because why are we even in a situation where we should be doing this?
Right.
And we're the most hated group. I would say, I don't know if we're the most hated now, but we once were the most hated group in America.
Yeah.
And now it's like we got thrust into the spotlight. Look at all these urban pockets of blackness voting for Biden. 91% of black women voted for Biden. That seemed like they had their shit together.
I would say so, yeah.
What about Trump do you think personally turned them off? That was a rhetorical question. You didn't have to answer that.
I was going to say,
no, I wasn't expecting an answer.
Hurt, yeah, okay.
You were just looking at me like, because motherfucker,
yeah.
No, but, okay, all right, but here we go.
Okay, so
91% of black women voted for Biden, but only 44% of white women. So obviously, Feminism, womanism, come on now. That's a big discrepancy.
This ties into the Chappelle thing.
Does it?
What I'm going to say.
Oh, that's great.
And there's actually a video. Oh my God, I'm full of fucking links today.
Yeah, and you're going to find every fucking one of them.
Every single one.
You know, America's not unique in its sins as a country. We're not unique in our evils, to be honest with you. I think where we may be singular is our refusal to acknowledge them and the legends and myths we tell about our inherent, goodness to hide and cover and conceal so that we can maintain a kind of willful ignorance that protects our innocence. See, the thing is that when the Tea Party was happening, we were saying, pundits, oh, it's just about economic populism. It's not about race. When people knew, social scientists were already writing that what was driving the Tea Party were anxieties about demographic shifts, that the country was changing, that they were seeing these racially ambiguous babies on Cheerios commercials, that the country wasn't quite feeling like it was a white nation anymore. And people were screaming from the top of their lungs, yo, this is not just simply economic populism. This is the ugly underbelly of the country. See, the thing is this, and I'll say this and I'll take the hit on it. There are communities that have had to bear the brunt of white Americans confronting the danger of their innocence. And it happens every generation. So somehow we have to kind of, oh my God, is this who we are? And just again, here's another generation of babies. Think about it. The 2-year-old had his bones broken by two parents trying to shield him from being killed. A woman who has been married to this man for as long as I've been on the planet almost lost her husband. For what? And so what we know is that the country has been playing politics for a long time on this hatred. We know this. So it's easy for us to place it all on Donald Trump's shoulders. It's easy for us to place Pittsburgh on his shoulders. It's easy for me to place Charlottesville on his shoulders. It's easy for us to place El Paso on his shoulders. This is us. And if we're going to get past this, we can't blame it on him. He's a manifestation of the ugliness that's in us. I've had the privilege of growing up in a tradition that didn't believe in the myths and the legends because we had to bear the brunt of them. Either we're going to change, Nicole, or we're going to do this again and again, and babies are going to have to grow up without mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, friends, while we're trying to convince white folk to finally leave behind a history that will maybe, or embrace a history that might set them free from being white. Finally.
What else?
Lord help us.
So you were saying you felt like you were hearing yourself.
Yeah, it was more like, do you think that I want to talk about this stuff all the time?
Right.
I'm tired of it.
Mm.
You know? A lot of people are tired of it. I know listeners are tired of it.
Mm.
And it's just like one of those things. I will never talk about it again when I never see it again. And this election, 74 million people voted for Biden. Most ever. But
70 million.
70 million people voted for Trump. So you're torn, right? I'm torn. And it's crazy because I just looked at Mitch McConnell saying that he's going to stand behind the president. Mm-hmm. Is saying that he has every right to litigate his way to another presidency. And then it was crazy because right below that was another article saying that the Republicans figured out that Trump is the face of their party now and they can't turn back. Fox News turned back and Fox News is getting a shit ton of shit about it.
In that video, he says, "This is us."
You remember when I asked you that? How do we save us from us?
If this is us, and the idea that we would have to acknowledge that, it's a very difficult thing. Because as he says in that video, too, we always have, and it's a generational thing, where we have this realization, right? I would say that that's the equivalent of today being woke. Like you kind of you have this realization, like, oh my God, have I been a participant in a lot of injustice in the world? And it's like, yeah, I have been.
We all have.
But what does that mean, right? It's not like, I think for some people, when they hear that, they get a lot of anxiety. Right? It's kind of like, honestly, it's a stupid comparison, but it's kind of like smoking weed for the first time. You don't know what to do with that. You have this new information that might fuck up your standing in the world. Like you may have to change some things. And so instead of confronting the anxiety, it is simply a lot easier to not worry about it. Don't smoke weed anymore. Don't confront your history. And that's good for some people.
I mean,
so you're saying 70 million people voting for Trump. And we'll go back to the original statement. It's just business, right?
It's just business.
It's just business because if it wasn't just business, I don't know what anybody would do.
Right. Now, my question is to you. Do you believe it's just business?
Do I believe it's just business? No.
Then what is the bullshit then? You don't have to answer for all of white America.
Yeah, I know.
But in your eyes, what is it? Because I respect a racist person that'll just tell me they don't like me, right? And then I'll just chalk that up to mentally unstable, right? I'll chalk it up to a mental illness. I'll just say they mentally don't see me as a human being. I could accept that. But for somebody to see me as a human being and to still make up these lies about why it's okay for a man to try to ban a person that looks like me because of my religion, ban a person that looks like me because of my ability to be American, I don't know why I'm being attacked, honestly.
Michelle Alexander talks about an underclass, not a lower class, an underclass.
You fucked up because you said something that I don't think anybody knows about. If you aren't already from that class or been with somebody in that class. A undercaste system, we've heard of that before, right? But yeah, the underclass of America, who are they? What do they look like?
And I think that you asked me the question of what would white people have to acknowledge, right? Say your question again, because I think I'm trying to tie two things together here.
My question is, if we know that saying that it's just about the money,
right,
is a facade.
Okay, right.
What is it really about?
The reason I said that is because it's probably that white people always need, and so happens it is white people that need somebody to blame. And that's how economics work. Yeah.
You always have to have an enemy, correct?
But always a competitor.
But what happens when the enemy looks like you? Because he said racially ambiguous children. Right. Now you're like, whoa. Yeah. This kid kind of looks like me, but he
close.
Kind of doesn't.
Getting close, yeah.
So that's like cheating the Matrix.
On the Cheerios commercial.
You know? Like, can I trust him to say racist shit to him while we're standing in line at the market?
Yikes.
You know, can I trust him to lean over and say some fucked up shit at my job? Or is he going to snitch?
what is it going to take for people to acknowledge that if this is all just, if it is business, right, then first of all, just say it if you really believe that. If you really believe this is all business, if you really deep down believe that, and I think that's the thing, I think some people don't want to admit that they're in it for themselves.
I have a really good idea.
Okay.
Continue.
But I think that's we're still confronting a lot of that. I think some people have finally admitted it, or I've become more aware that really was the issue to begin with. And so some people have been saying that now, but some people have not said that. And so, again, if we are self-interested and we want somebody else to blame for our woes, they say, then just say it.
Now, I'm going to say this, but understand that I just had some shitty box wine
That's
on an empty stomach. What if we have a national coming out day for racist people? Just let it, just that day, if you're racist, just come out and say it, and that'll be it. Because, hear me out, is it socially acceptable to be racist in America today?
No.
How do you feel if somebody is racist and has racist thoughts and racist tendencies? How do you think they feel if they want to be better? Because I have hope that everybody wants to be better. If they did want to do that, where's a safe place to actually do it?
People need to feel vulnerable.
Right, but in that moment, we are very accepting.
Yes.
But racism is one of the things that we will punch people in the face for. Punch a Nazi was
right.
going around like it was nothing. So why can't we do that?
Here's something I would say to that. The first thing, hats off to you for thinking that people would actually participate in that day. But,
I didn't say all racists were smart.
Look, I'm just saying. So, I would say
it's just like
sure.
it's just like the shit in the city where the cops say, "Hey, bring your guns in and we'll give you a gift card to Walmart."
Oh my God.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, I know what the fuck you're really doing, cops. I'm not just gonna walk up to you and hand you an unlicensed gun like a fucking idiot.
If people had really the opportunity to say something like that on a day, okay, they wouldn't do it. Okay, I'm sorry, they will not.
Why though?
Because look, it's the world against Twitter, right? And so it's not about that they may or may not want to say something, right? It's, do we have the potential to be vulnerable? Now, I will say that I was in a very, very accepting environment, right? I had people that I looked to for guidance. You need to feel like you can talk among friends. It's really not a space for, right? I can't really say it strangers, like, I'm walking down the street like, I'm racist, I'm sorry. I hear a lot of people say they want to go up to black people and apologize. I'm like, please don't do that.
Chappelle said, what did he call it? I gotta remember. But he was saying, yeah, just go up to like your local drug dealer and give him an ice cream cone. No. Do it, right?
Go ahead, see what happens.
So his whole premise was, and I can't remember the name at this point, but he said that you need to do an act of kindness for a black person that doesn't deserve that act, because for generations and for hundreds of years, black people have been attacked and killed, right, and enslaved when they didn't deserve it. So yeah, random acts of kindness toward black people, would that help?
No. Here's why. Because I already tried that.
Oh. Yeah, like he said, yeah, he's gonna be skeptical. Yeah. Like he's gonna be looking at you like, what the fuck?
Right.
But
I already tried that. Black people want to be treated like everybody else.
Right.
All right. Nobody wants you to come up to them and like, you know what? I think I want to buy you a cup of coffee. I want to buy you an ice cream cone. Nobody.
Right.
If it was just whatever, if you were in a good mood and like you were at a bar and you wanted to buy everybody shots, that's a different story. It's the idea that Chappelle is on our side, right?
But is he?
He is. Yeah.
Sure. I just had this really long conversation about being pro-black, and Chappelle hasn't married a black woman.
That's true. That's true. And he's been with her for a long time.
I mean, how
25 years, I think.
How pro-black is he? And he doesn't really talk about what he did in Africa, did he?
He doesn't talk about it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm on to this motherfucker. I'm not trying to take his G card, but at the same time, I'm on to this bitch.
Right? He's on our side. And I think that's the thing. When you are among friends, right? He can make that kind of joke, right? If Trump went up there and did that joke, it would be a very different thing.
I mean, but Trump has like history of that shit. So
right. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but you understand what I'm saying. So that's why I think comedians in particular are allowed to, or they attempt to, and not always successfully. The joke did not really go well for the audience, right? A comedian's attempt is to stretch the bounds of what is socially acceptable and not, and that's what makes him masterful. That he takes that risk.
Perspective is everything. No, you can't play about that. There's certain things you can't talk about in America. And one of them is the wealth gap, right? One of them is racial stuff. And one of them is the feminine perspective, right?
Look, I'll leave it to the comedians. I'm not. I'll make some dumb joke about Italians, and that's about all I can do. I can't.
Right, because you're safe in that space, right? My thought was this. Trump supporters, before the election, were emboldened to voice their opinions on the current state of America. One of the things I heard through multiple people's mouths directly in front of me, not of my choosing, but it just happened, was that the hardest person to be in America right now is a white man.
I feel like you've said that before.
Not here, but right. Yes. Okay. The fact that you feel that and you are comfortable enough to voice it in a room of black people is interesting to me.
Let's form the Rainbow Coalition, bro. I'm just saying, like, if people really feel that way.
Well, I know specifically that this person that said it was a well-off, well-to-do lawyer from Baltimore City who probably lived his life locking up people that look like me for a paycheck.
Fuck him, but...
Oh, of course. He got what he deserved.
Right.
But, the fact that he said that, that shook me. And one of his things was like, he said, we don't have a day for ourselves. Like, we don't have a national holiday for white men.
Man, are they still talking about that shit?
Listen,
bro.
I said, I said President's Day. Now, albeit there's an asterisk next to Obama's name, but he's partially white. So in some books, yeah, sure.
4th of July.
Right. 4th of July. Christopher Columbus. Right.
Yikes.
Easter. The white Jesus rose from the dead. Come on now. So I was like, the fact that you would say that, right? And then I said something in as a rebuttal. He didn't take that well. And I think that we live in a world now where if you reply to a statement like that, hell's gonna break loose.
It's going down. I understand.
So, it's just
the caucasity.
Whose fault is that? Is that America's fault?
Kinda. I mean, not only, but...
Because I feel like right now, like with Trump and all the shit that he's doing, and trying to sabotage the next president-elect. It's like, could the Statue of Liberty just bend Trump over her knee and just slap his ass a few times like he's a bad child and just say, get your shit together? Because at the end of the day, we're all American, but it doesn't seem like nobody wants to do that.
It's also like, dude, if you want to run again, run in 2024. Just
the way that Donald Trump is handling his loss seems like the way that the Confederates handled the loss of the Civil War. It's hard to lose. It's hard to lose what you stand for your entire life. And in the moment where you're at your most vulnerable and everybody knows you lost, instead of valiantly giving up and dying on your sword, you look like a fucking fool. It would be better for him to just walk away now with whatever minuscule amount of grace he has into the sunset of his debt than to continue to drag this along. Because there's a reason why Juneteenth is a thing. There's a reason why it took years to free all the slaves after slavery had already been amended. Because certain people didn't want to let go. And this is the same thing that's happening here. People don't want to let go. So will we have a Juneteenth for when Trump finally gives up? Will that be a national day of celebration when all of his followers finally give up? Or do they go underground and just wave the Trump banner for the rest of their lives and their children's lives, just like America waves the Confederate flag's banner, and then they rewrite history just like they did for the Confederate sympathizers and make it seem that it's about heritage and not about slavery? You tell me, when we're in 2050 and we still see Trump signs waving proudly, are we going to look back and think, shit, did we fuck up by bowing out gracefully and letting them go away peacefully? Or should we have stomped them in the ground and made sure that they knew that Trump was a piece of shit? When will we learn? Right? Like, Germany made anything that had a swastika on it illegal. That's Nazi paraphernalia. And if you're caught with it, that's a federal charge. I don't see anybody in America having a federal charge for having a Confederate flag. Is it Mississippi? Has it in their state flag? When will we just not condone this shit anymore? When will it just be done? When will you give up and say that's a part of our past? It's over. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on anything. Thank you again for listening. We really appreciate it. Please like, follow, subscribe. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and on all streaming sites for our podcast.
Thank you, guys. Please join us in the Discord. We are gaming and playing Among Us and other games. I'm not very good at it, but if you want to get high, have a little drink, play the game, talk, shoot the shit, please join us. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, everyone.